Welcome to All Electric Conversations, where we talk with pioneers in traveling with electric vehicles. We're your hosts, Katie and Steve Krivolovic of the All Electric family. From road trips and towing to daily life, we'll hear stories of wanderlust and progress to inspire your own adventures with All Electric Conversations.
Welcome to an all-electric conversation with Steve and Katie.
Hello, welcome back, guys. Today we are going to talk about summer. Summer is upon us, and that means there's going to be road trips. There's going to be people new to EVs out there taking longer road trips, and we want to talk about what we think that's going to look like this summer and how we think it's going to go. Is it going to be smooth sailing or is it going to be a disaster?
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. And how do you think that it's going to go initially?
I definitely think that this summer is going to have a bit of a learning curve because there's just so many more EVs on the road than I think in previous summers. Our personal experience is that last summer, we really started seeing towards the end of the summer, more EVs when we were at charging stations. We were seeing different types of EVs when we were at charging stations. And I think there's going to be a big difference from last summer to this summer. I think it's just going to be busier, which is going to make some learning curves for people. It's going to take some adjustments. It's going to take people figuring it out throughout the summer, and then I think we'll start to see a shift towards things being better, I hope, at the end of the summer. That's my rundown, my quick rundown of what I think this will be like this summer. But what do you think?
No, I agree with that. Like last summer, it was towards the end, we started seeing some frustration from some regular EV owners because there's more and more people out there. The chargers weren't working very well. And I think that that's going to be amplified for sure this summer. It's going to be more people and more people that haven't learned charging etiquette or understanding of their vehicle on how to charge it. And so there is going to be a lot more frustration in people that have had EVs for a while and understand that. So I think we all just got to keep that in mind going into this summer, that maybe this should be the summer to educate people, be nice, obviously, and talk to them. And, we had one person last summer that was charging over 90% in their vehicle, and you could tell they didn't need it.
Yeah.
But they're still waiting around as we're waiting for the charger. And so that's a great opportunity to educate people, about charging their vehicle. Hey, where are you going? How much charge do you need? Can I help you figure out, how much you need?
Do you know how to calculate that?
Yeah. And so then we can get them to charge correctly, not only in this moment, but also future for other people too. So I think that, this year is going to be amplified. We see more chargers going in. I just got a text from somebody sending me some specs on some chargers that they're installing along I-80. So I know there'll be some more chargers, but, I don't know how soon those will go in. There's still supply chain issues. So overall, I do not think there has been enough chargers installed to help offset how many people are coming into the EV space and going to be road tripping.
Yeah, I think that there's still we're going to need a lot more chargers than what we have. And throughout the course of the winter, we talked about how last summer we started seeing more chargers at the charging station. Well, throughout the course of the winter, I see more and more EVs as I'm driving around town. So I know that that's going to equate to even more cars at the chargers over the summer. So I do think that there's still a lot of work to be done. But like you said, educating people and helping them understand how to properly use the chargers. And I think giving them tools, like, do they know about plug share? Do they know about how to, a better route planner? Do they know about these little things that can help them? And I think that is a great thing, though, about the EV community. And I hope as we start seeing these big influxes of more people that have EVs, that we don't lose that, is that everybody does want to have conversations at the charging stations. They do want to talk about, hey, how's it been going for you? What's your experience been? So I hope that we don't lose that as we see more and more people at the charging stations. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you see that we are in our Airstream right now. So we're RVers as well. And that's something that we have loved about the RV community and the EV community as well, is that everybody loves to communicate and talk and help each other out in those communities. And so, when we started out and we started learning about all of the apps and stuff for RVing, it was really helpful to us. And we would have never known about those had we not heard about them from other people helping us along the way. And so that I would love to see that continue, like, through in the EV world, where we are helping each other out and telling people about that. Even if it's like, hey, you need to go watch, Kyle Connor's charge video on your car, or whatever it is. Just little things to help each other out, I think, is going to be huge in taking the hiccups and such that we're going to see this summer, and to help smooth them out as we move into the future.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a couple things to that too. Like, one, always remembering that some of these people are new. They may be frustrated at the chargers too. So if they're a little bit snippy, it's not you. They're obviously going through a rough time of figuring it out and learning. And so sometimes that can be frustrating. I know I've gotten frustrated at a charging station at times too. So just understanding that when you're talking to them, maybe they'll be a little bit short and stuff like that. That's not necessarily you. Just continue to try to help them and figure that out.
Even saying, hey, which direction are you going? And if you know that the charger is not working well down the road, like, hey, what direction are you going? Oh, you're going that way? You should probably charge a little bit extra here because that charger is not working, or whatever the case may be. Just helping each other out in any little way possible.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that they're not getting any help with what Katie was talking about, the apps and stuff like that from these dealerships when they're being sold these cars. I have seen paperwork that salesmen get that is for prep and for delivery of an EV, and it's very interesting what they talk about. They point them to the manufacturer's YouTube channel and stuff like that, which say nothing about some of these apps that are beneficial. These manufacturers, unfortunately, aren't using current EV drivers to come up with this material. And so there's definitely a void there too. So they are not getting the communication of these apps and things like that. And so we have to do that and help them, understand how to do this.
Yeah. And this, we'll see if anybody catches it. This is probably a little bit of a spoiler alert, but we've now purchased 2 EVs from dealerships. Well, no, 3 EVs from dealerships that are, your regular run-of-the-mill dealerships, right? Ford dealerships, GMC dealerships. And hands down, we know significantly more information about what a beginner EV owner should know than anybody at any of those dealerships. They start talking about the vehicle and we are like, actually, no, that's wrong. And we know the information more than they do, so we have to help each other out in that way too, in understanding that they may even be getting incorrect information directly from the dealership. And I'm not saying that that's all dealerships, but just knowing that a dealership isn't going to have all of the information is important to know, to help and to take your level of frustration down too. When you're, when somebody's doing something wrong at a charger and you're like, oh, but be like, okay, No one has probably told them. They probably just, if they've still got their 30-day tags on, they're probably all excited and went to go charge, and now it didn't work right for them, and they're frustrated, and everybody's, at this elevated level. And so just to realize, be like, you know what? They probably were not told correctly, so I'm going to be the helping hand here instead of, getting mad at them and making the situation worse for them.
Yeah. And I've given people little tips at charging stations that weren't even asking. And just understanding those situations, they are probably going to ignore you in that moment and not use that tip. I've noticed that a handful of times.
Yeah.
I've even paid for people's charging to do that tip to show them that it works.
Yes. Yeah.
So understanding that too, it's like when you're offering advice to somebody that is maybe a bit embarrassed or, is frustrated in the moment, sometimes they will ignore you and not even use your advice in that moment. Some of us people are a little proud, and so we think we
that guy.
And so just understanding that, I've lived all these things personally inside of me, so that's why I know them.
Yeah.
But anyways, even if it helps them on the next one, it's like, okay, that annoying guy in the Rivian isn't here, so now I'm gonna, actually try this. Oh, it does work.
Yeah.
He does know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that it's just one of those things that it's just such a whole new process. People expect to roll up to it, plug the charger into their car, and everything goes smoothly. They probably haven't run into a whole lot of issues at a gas station, and they just want it to work. And I think we're going to get there, and I think the education's going to get there as well. I think that we've started to see, if you haven't checked it out, we'll link it in the show notes, but we did a EV course through Road Pass University, and it's a free course, and it was helping you learn how to plan for your road trip, how to, manage an EV on a road trip. And so even people that website comes from the RV realm. So people are starting to understand, like, okay, we're going to have to educate people on this to make this work, to make it smooth sailing. So I think we're going to start to see more of that. You and I, when we get the time, we want to sit down and write a more in-depth course that we can offer to people. And if you guys have ideas, things that you would want to see in a course like that, let us know. Drop us a comment, shoot us a message, do whatever, because we, when we do come out with that course, we want it to be beneficial to people. We don't want to be giving you information that you might already know or things like that. But I think there is going to be this education piece, and it's going to push through. And then when we come out the other side, I think everything's going to be kind of smooth sailing at that point. That leads me to my next question, though, which is, do you think the state of charging has gotten any better over the course of the summer or the course of the winter? Do you think that the chargers are ready for summer?
My knee-jerk reaction is no, because once we get into the heat of summer, I do think there's still going to be some problems, but I have no insight into what these companies are doing to improve that reliability. It's just what I've seen on Kyle Connor's YouTube channel, that a spec Dave channel, those things. They're still having trouble when they're charging, not getting the full speed, sometimes unable to charge, all those things. And so my assumption is that it's not going to be better. But I guess maybe they're working on some stuff. I'm hopeful that it's going to be. We have some pretty big trips coming up that need to be working, and so I hope
we will get there.
Yeah, and so
pushing the limits a bit this summer.
Yeah, so I hope that it is, but no, I don't think it's coming.
Yeah, and I think it's funny for me because we don't go on a lot of trips during the winter. We just don't have to go anywhere. So we stay home. A lot of the times when we go places, we want to go with our camper. And that may change in the future, but, the kids are in school, all of that stuff. So, like, it's hard for me to remember the last time we went to a charging station, So I feel like I'm heading into this summer slightly with this little, blissful, oh, it's better. And then I'm going to be really disappointed when I get to the charging stations this summer.
Wow, I'm trying to be the other way. And
be prepared.
It's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the one time we did go to Kansas City over the winter, we had to
Oh, yeah.
sit at a charger
There's
all the
that.
time because we had to go deep in the battery pack to even make it. And
Yeah.
I think we ended with 4%.
Yeah, there was that, wasn't there?
So I don't know why you're thinking that, but
I think just because it's been so long since we've had to go to, that's the only reason why. I know deep in my heart that's when we start heading out, we're going to be like, oh my gosh. And I mean, we have a few big major things planned for this summer, but we also have a whole lot of summer left to figure out and plan out what we're going to do. So it's going to be fun. But going back to how it's going to go this summer, we know that the chargers are probably not up to par on what they need to be. We know that the education needs to be there. But what else? Can we do anything else at this point to make it go better for people who have never been on EV road trips? Or is it just going to kind of have to be, educate while we're out there, show people the right way to do things when we can in a polite and nice manner, and as previous EV owners, just kind of, be prepared ourselves so that we're not adding to the chaos of, the frustration and the just being angry about this, that, and the other thing when you're at the charging station. What do you think? What else can we do? Or how do we make it the best that it can be?
yeah, I think lowering our expectations, unfortunately, with how smoothly it's going to go this summer, whether that be with the actual chargers or with new EV owners on road trips, and then elevating ourselves to having some tips and things like that prepared for people, or, even if they have time, pointing them to some YouTube channels or this Road Pass University course that we created, things like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in these earlier years, which is still probably a couple years out of EV ownership, it's going to be not very smooth. And so that is just the expectation, I think, is a big thing. And then understanding there's going to be people out there that don't know.
So do you think that someone who is not excited about EVs, you and I get excited about it. We love the daily driving aspect of it. We love how they drive. We love how they perform. We love all of that stuff. So we love our EVs, right? So when we go on a road trip and we do run into frustrations, I think that we know that in the future it's going to be better. We push past it. We're like, okay, this happened. Here's what we're going to do next time to make sure that it doesn't happen. Do you think people that don't have that almost obsessive love for EVs should be in the EV game at this point, especially for road trips?
For road tripping, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anything over one DC fast charging trip, I don't think so.
Yeah. That's...
And they have extra time on that one trip.
Yeah.
I think you get over one DC fast charging, you're obviously opening yourself up to having more and more troubles and issues. And so I think that comes along with frustration, and then you inevitably trade cars in. There's multiple people that I've talked to that have traded their EVs in because they've been too frustrated with it on road trips. You know, if they are actually educated enough and get a home charger, then they love it.
Yeah.
And if they just use it for those types of scenarios where they're not DC fast charging very much, you know, things like that. And so then they keep it. But, you know, it's just the unfortunate event that, you know, the technology and the reliability of an electric vehicle is way further ahead than the actual DC fast chargers.
Yeah.
You know, those needed to be ahead of the others. And if you look at Tesla, they were at the time.
Yeah, they were.
They were reliable. They were good. And so, you know, that's one thing I've always been impressed with was Elon's vision of that and knowing that, you know, that needed to happen. In public charging, that is not the case. So
no.
I do think that if they're going to go just one DC fast charger, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah.
And if there's a little bit of a hiccup, it's annoying. You got to stay there 20, 30 minutes longer than you thought, you know, but you can come back from that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I would agree. I think you either need a really strong sense of adventure, right? Like you just want to go try something new, so maybe you're not in an obsessive state with EVs, but you just are very adventurous and you like figuring new things out. I think that, go for it. Try it, go see what happens. That's part of the fun, right? In road trips. Because, I mean, you do never know when you walk out the door what's going to happen on a road trip. We have definitely been stranded by a gas vehicle before. It just, you know, it's always an adventure when you go. My parents just got stranded with their diesel truck, you know, so it's always an adventure.
We got stranded twice on a trip.
The same trip. Oh, God, I hated that one.
It was interesting.
Yeah. But, you know, if you have a good sense of adventure and also, you know, you can move on from frustrations and stuff like that, then I would say, go for it.
True.
I think one other factor that I want to throw out there, though, is that I think that with the road tripping piece, even though it makes it more difficult and you're hitting more fast chargers along the road, I do think that towing with your EV actually makes it a little bit better if there are hiccups and stuff, because you do have your house with you. You have food, you have a bathroom, you have all of those things. And so, you know, last year when we did get stranded by a charger, it was 100 degrees and we couldn't use our camper, which was a little bit frustrating. But the other times, like when we could stay in our camper and it was like, oh, okay, we have to charge a little bit longer. Well, okay, we'll play a game or we'll watch a movie or we'll do whatever. It made it a little bit easier because I don't want it to sound like, you know, because you are probably going to have to hit more than one fast charger if you're going anywhere in your camper for any distance. So I think it made it a little bit easier for me anyway, having the camper with us to be able to cook meals and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, having those hiccups for sure. Like things taking longer than anticipated, stuff like that. If we could revisit the time that we did get stranded where we couldn't use it, I would have actually towed the camper to a campsite and done that, but we thought we were going to be able to make it back.
Yeah.
So, but those are all learning experiences. We're willing to go on those adventures and figure that out. So
if you don't like making those mistakes, just go back and watch our videos because we've probably made all of them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the whole adventure side of it you were talking about.
That's true.
That is the only thing that really probably got me into EVs, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because do you remember, like, oh, this car is cool. It's electric. It's awesome. I'm going to go buy it, and then I'm going to drive down to Kansas City, and I punch it into the Tesla, and it tells me to go to the Tesla supercharger that's, 10 miles the other direction. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. There's chargers down the road that show up on this online, and so I go to those, and it's basically a level 2 charger, and it would have taken 6 hours to charge it versus going to the Tesla supercharger. I could have charged there in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like that. I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, I was in the mode of not believing navigation systems because they always screw it up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, thought this was the same. Well, that was a great learning experience. But that was me being adventurous and knowing nothing about level 1, level 2, level 3.
Knowing nothing about the EV other than that you wanted it. That it went fast, so you wanted it.
It was sweet and it went fast, and it was new. It was electric.
Yep.
Like at that time it was like 3 or 4 years old, but you know, it was.
But it was still one of the first Teslas that we really saw around town.
Yeah.
You didn't see them when we had that vehicle.
So, anyways, like I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And like it was fun. Like annoying at the time. I went and ate at gross Taco Bell for an hour and came back and it was like 10% more. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Oh. And then that's when the research started where I'm like, why is this taking so? Oh, because it's an AC charger. It's just level 2.
And that's something I think as you have helped other people along the way, that's an experience that you remember and and you're like, oh, hey, like, don't think all chargers are created equal because they're not. You remember that experience. And I remember it. And I don't, that's probably why, because I'll admit, like, I was not the biggest of fans of our first Tesla. I would drive it around town and it was fun to drive, but I did not, I just always had a bad taste about it in my mouth. And it's probably because that experiences were like waiting for you down in Kansas City and you don't have, you're just waiting to charge for hours and hours at this charging station. But, it's good to remember as we move forward and trying to help people and,
Well, understanding too, spouses might not get it.
Yeah. Yeah, spouses don't get it.
I committed to this vehicle.
Yeah, you had.
And so I was going to figure it out. It's easy for a spouse to be like, what are you doing, dummy?
Yeah.
True. And so that's kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
What was happening at the time is like, okay, I got to prove her wrong. So I got to figure this out.
Well, and then to know, too, that it can be turned around. Because obviously, like, here we are, how many ever years later, and like, if somebody tried to take my Rivian from me, I would be like, don't you dare. You leave that thing alone. That is my vehicle. So it can definitely be turned around. But I do think, interestingly enough, just to go back to the adventure piece, because that's what people go do in the summers, right, is to have adventures, is I think that when you brought getting another EV to me in with an adventure perspective, but I mean, we're both adventure people. We like to go on adventures and do those types of things. When you brought it to me with an adventure perspective and we're like, hey, this could be fun. If we got a Model X, we could tow a camper with it. Nobody's really doing it before and we could figure it out and that could be kind of cool. And then we'll just show people how to do it. And I was like, oh yeah, that could be fun to figure that out. And then after that, that's when I like fell in love with it and taking those adventures and figuring that out. And then like we've kind of taken it, higher and higher, because with a Tesla, it's a pretty sure deal, right? Like you're going to be able to figure it out. You're going to be able to do it. And so we figured out what it was like. And then we're like, okay, let's get a Rivian and see if we can do it with the public charging network. And then we figured it out from there. And so
kind of.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we're all in on that now. But it's so maybe if your average road tripper, I don't know if your average road tripper is adventurous, but if you're headed out for an adventure, maybe it's a little bit easier to take because you're like, it is, a little bit of that adventure piece. And maybe that's the key to some people being able to make it through, is just starting with that mindset of, hey, this is an adventure. I'm going to go figure out how to do this. There are people that have done it before, so I know I can do it. And then heading out and making it happen.
Very true.
Because that really was the turning point,
Yeah.
And another piece is maybe, is that why so many people are so deeply in love with their Rivians at this point? Because, again, the adventure piece, you're willing to take a little bit of a risk. You're willing to go figure some stuff out. And Rivian, just sells the heck out of that adventure,
Yeah, it could have been a great branding by them, whether they realized it or not. I don't know if you're onto something or not.
Right?
But I think that the Rivian is an amazing vehicle, too.
Yes.
We've talked about this multiple times. You can tow a camper 500-600 miles out to a place that you can go four-wheeling, some very difficult trails, and then you can put it in sport mode and go on the swirly roads in Colorado. That's just bananas.
Yeah.
You can do that with a car.
Well, and
The truck.
having all of those things in one vehicle, isn't that also going to make you more willing to overcome a hiccup of a bad charger? Because you're like, well, but when I get there, I don't have to have a Jeep and then a truck to tow my camper and then a sports car to drive. You're like, I'm getting it all in this one vehicle. I just have to deal with this one bad charger. You know what I mean? So it makes it easier to overcome.
And then you don't have to rent side by side. You don't have to rent this stuff.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can do so much with it. That's the Rivian. To go back to the charging aspect of it, I know that we get tons of comments about people that are like, well, Tesla does it better. Yeah. To go back to Katie's point, we proved that with the Model X. We know that. We have a giant draw to want to go back, at least I do, to make that easy, because it is.
Yeah. When you have something to, like a dance competition or something where it's not an adventure, you just need to get there, it'd be great.
And so that is probably on the horizon at some point, that we will have one of those vehicles. It's just not fitting in right now, because we are trying to figure out this public charging stuff. It's an adventure for us. It's frustrating at times, but trying to figure that out so we can help other people overcome it, and make their life a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're listening to this as someone who has either just purchased an EV or is looking to get an EV, and you have that summer trip coming, and you're like, man, it sounds like I'm gonna have to deal with a lot to make it work. And we've always really tried to not sugarcoat stuff, and we don't want to make it seem like it's easier than it is, because then that's another thing that makes it more frustrating for people. But it's also 100% doable with the right planning and the right expectations and the right tools. We've towed thousands of miles with an EV now. And if we can tow thousands of miles with an EV, if you're just going on your regular run-of-the-mill road trip without a camper, you're going to be able to figure it out. It just takes the knowledge and the tools and the expectations. Because I don't want to make it seem like it's the end of the world, but I want to make sure that we do put that out there. And also to put out there that ask questions. Comment on the YouTube videos or the podcast that you're listening to or whatever, because more than likely people are willing to answer your questions for you. If it's not the creator itself, somebody else who's just as knowledgeable as the creator that, watches all this stuff, maybe even knows more than the creator, because they have time to dig into the research more, because we have to devote so much time to producing the content and stuff that sometimes, we just, learn by what we go out and experience, rather than digging in and doing a whole lot of research. But somebody's going to be willing to comment and help you out. So I think that's another important piece, is don't be afraid to ask the question. And if you do get some not very nice person that comes back with a stupid comment, just ignore it, report it, delete it, do whatever, and it's fine. But like, just know that people are out there that are willing to answer your questions for you.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
So any other, let's see, I'm trying to look at our time over there. Okay. So I think we have time for one more like question. What questions did you want answered about the summer coming into this?
How hot's it going to be? So I think that'll play a giant role.
I do. I think that's important because, gosh, last summer, do you remember? Like the entire summer from June to September, anytime we took a trip, it was 100 degrees. Yeah. It was so hot last summer. Yeah. Because we were gone a lot and it was 100 degrees. But
I did get a robotic lawnmower.
Oh, yeah, that you did. So your summer's going to be easier. That's what you're trying to say?
Anyways, as far as I am curious, this doesn't have to do so much with EVs, so you can check out if it's not EVs. I'm curious how busy the campgrounds and adventuring and all that stuff is going to be.
Yeah.
More than likely, we're going to have to run out to Colorado once or twice this year just for some quick adventures. And I am curious to see how that is. I would love to go to South Dakota, but there's no charging up there. So
no. And yeah, I think it will be interesting. Because I think this is the first summer where, with all reality, like we're really back in full swing, where there's not anybody really that's still staying home very often. You know, most people are out adventuring, and I think that there has been so many RV sales, and I think that, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how full the campgrounds are and stuff.
But now the RV sales side of it, they're getting too many.
Yeah.
Like Camping World in some places won't even buy your camper.
Interesting.
So
when they were like begging a couple of years ago. Well,
a year ago.
But is that going to, like, so are some of the prices of some like secondhand campers then going to come down, and so then more and more people again start buying because it's cheap, and then they come out for their one camping trip before they sell their
We'll see if it's actually cheap. It might have to be a year or two in before they're actually...
That's true, because they were so expensive just a couple years ago. But, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's, we're in the mode of people that purchase camper. They're not going to take it out this summer.
Yeah.
Why did I purchase that? I'm going to try to sell it at the end of the summer, which is the worst time to sell it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting... how many people are out there. It'll probably still be packed.
It'll be packed. It'll be... I also think that, how does all of this affect EVs at the campground, right? Like, if it's super busy, is it going to be harder for campgrounds to, you're going to run into more campgrounds that say, please don't charge your EV here, even if you're staying there for the night. Or if they're super empty, is it going to be easier? Because they're going to be like, oh, sure. Or like, oh, hey, well, we'll charge him for an extra spot, and he can charge it at that extra spot or whatever, because it's empty anyway. So we might as well make some money off of it. I think there's a whole bunch of the people.
Those are great questions.
Yeah, we won't know the answer to it. We'd love to have people's opinion on it. But because I think there's going to be more and more EVs showing up at campgrounds, and so I think that that's going to be interesting to watch as well through the course of this summer. I think it's going to be, this is going to be a big summer in the EV world as far as, feeling a change, so to speak, from the previous years to this year. I think we're going to feel a big change from last summer to this summer. And will we ever feel that significant of a change again? Or are we kind of past the point of where it's been, like, we're obviously still going to continue to see new EVs and all of this stuff, but with a number of Rivians on the road now and the number of Lightnings on the road now and all of the cars, has the biggest shift biggest feel of how different it is? Has that happened? Or are we going to see a bigger one?
This summer, I think it'll be a big shift.
Yeah. And that's what I think too. So it might be the biggest one. So it might be historic and it might be worth being a part of. Who knows? Could be fun.
Being a part of, hopefully, the positive
Yes. Well,
shift.
we're going to can anybody tell we're like glass half full kind of a people? We're like, it's going to be great. So, but
Yeah.
what, you're not? You usually are.
No, I usually am, but
Yeah. You're
if
trying
we're
to
gonna
prepare
see
yourself.
Yeah, if we're gonna see it, we're gonna see it this year. Where chargers are terrible, people are, not understanding how to do things. So that's why I think I have to prepare.
So will you travel with your generator then, in case the Armageddon of EV life happens?
With my generator,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. That'll be very difficult.
Yeah. Anyway.
Definitely not an R1S because that's just, I'm not gonna have a generator in the vehicle.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
Maybe a truck. So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be interesting. I hope people have comments on this one and that they drop in their opinions on all of this stuff, because this is obviously just us talking about what we think is going to happen for the summer. And, weirdly enough, we have these conversations like all the time in the car while we're driving, which is why we decided that we could potentially start a podcast. Is we're like, maybe we just need to record these conversations because we talk about this stuff all the time. So let's just go ahead and start it. But we'd love to have you follow along with the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Go on to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, and follow along, because we know that you guys are watching, but we need some people to follow along so that more people can find the podcast. So we'd love to have you do that for us, and also comment, give us some engagement over on the podcast itself.
Reviews,
Yes, all that.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, because we're really starting to want to get more guests on, and we really love doing this. So we'd love for more people to find it.
Yeah. Appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Find all of our show notes at allelectricfamily.com/allelectricconversations. Be sure to connect with us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at All Electric Family. Find us on Twitter as All Electric Fam. You can find our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed this story, please be sure to share it and hit that subscribe button. Leave a review and help inspire others to hit the road. Until next time, stay charged.